50 Cent. Curtis James Jackson III, born July 6, 1975, better known by his stage name 50 Cent, is an American rapper, actor, television producer, and entrepreneur. Born in the South Jamaica neighborhood of the borough of Queens, Jackson began selling drugs at the age of 12 during the 1980s crack epidemic. He later began pursuing a musical career in 2000 and he produced Power of the Dollar for Columbia Records. But days before the planned release, he was shot and the album was never released. In 2002, after Jackson released the compilation album Guess Who's Back, he was discovered by Eminem and signed to Shady Records under the aegis of Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment and Interscope Records. With the aid of Eminem and Dr. Dre, who produced his first Magic album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', Jackson became one of the world's best-selling rappers and rose to prominence with East Coast hip-hop group G-Unit, which he leads de facto. In 2003, he founded G-Unit Records, signing his G-Unit associates Young Black, Lloyd Banks, and Tony Yayo. Jackson had similar commercial and critical success with his album, The Massacre, which was released in 2005. He released his fifth studio album, Animal Ambition, in 2014, and as of 2019 is working on his sixth studio album, Street King Immortal. He executive produces and stars in the show Power, which airs on Stars. During his career, Jackson has sold over 30 million albums worldwide and won several awards, including a Grammy Award, 13 Billboard Music Awards, 6 World Music Awards, 3 American Music Awards, and 4 BET Awards. He has pursued an acting career, appeared in the semi-autobiographical film Get Rich or Die Tryin', the Iraq War film Home of the Brave, and The Righteous Kill. 50 Cent was ranked at 6th best artist in the 2000s and 3rd best rapper behind Eminem and Nelly by Billboard. Rolling Stone ranked Get Rich or Die Tryin' in the club in its list of 100 best albums of 2000s and 100 best songs of 2000s at number 37 and 13th, respectively. Early life. Jackson was born in the borough of Queens, New York City, and raised in the South Jamaica neighborhood by his mother, Sabrina. A drug dealer, Sabrina raised Jackson until she died in a mysterious fire when Jackson was 8. After his mother's death and his father's departure, Jackson was raised by his grandmother. He began boxing at age 11, and when he was 14, a neighborhood opened a boxing gym for local youth. When I wasn't killing time in school, I was sparring in the gym or selling crack on the strip, Jackson remembered. I was competitive in the ring, and hip-hop is competitive too. I think rappers condition themselves like boxers, so they all kind of feel like they are the champ. At age 12, Jackson began dealing narcotics when his grandparents thought he was after-school programs and brought guns and drug money to school. In the 10th grade, he was caught by metal detectors at Andrew Jackson High School. I was embarrassed that I got arrested like that. After I got arrested, I stopped hiding it. I was telling my grandmother openly, I sell drugs. On June 29, 1994, Jackson was arrested for selling 4 vials of cocaine to an undercover police officer. He was arrested 3 weeks later when police searched his home and found heroin, 10 ounces of crack cocaine, and a starting pistol. Although Jackson was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison, he served 6 months in boot camp and earned his GED. He has said that he did not use cocaine himself. Jackson adopted the nickname 50 Cent as a metaphor for change. The name was inspired by Calvin Martin, a 1980s Brooklyn robber known as 50 Cent. Jackson chose it because it says everything I want it to say, and the same kind of person 50 Cent was. I provide myself by any means. Career. 1996 to 2002, rise to fame, shooting, and early mixtapes. Jackson began in a friend's basement where he used turntables to record over his instrumentals. In 1996, a friend introduced him to Jam Master Jay of Run DMC, who was establishing Jam Master Jay Records. Jay taught him how to count bars, write choruses, structure songs, and make records. Jackson's first appearance was on React with Onyx for the 1998 album Shut 'Em Down. He created Jam Master Jay for improving his ability to write hooks, and Jay produced Jackson's first unreleased album. In 1999, after Jackson left Jam Master Jay, the platinum-selling producer's Trackmaster signed him to Columbia Records. They sent him to an upstate New York studio where he produced 36 songs in 2 weeks. 18 were included in the 2000 album Power of the Dollar. Jackson founded Hollow Point Entertainment with former G-Unit member Bangum Smurf. Jackson's popularity began to grow after the successful, controversial underground single How to Rob, which he wrote in half an hour car ride to a studio. The track comically describes how he could rob famous artists. Jackson explained the song's rationale. There's 100 artists on that label. You gotta separate yourself from the group and make yourself relevant. Rappers Jay-Z, Corrupt, Sticky Figures, Big Pun, DMX, Wyclef Jean, and Wu-Tang Clan responded to the track, and Nas invited Jackson to join him on his Nostradamus tour. Although How to Rob was intended to be released with Thug Love with Destiny's Child, 2 days before he was scheduled to film the Thug Love music video, Jackson was shot and hospitalized. On May 24, 2000, Jackson was attacked by a gunman outside his grandmother's former home in South Jamaica. After getting into a friend's car, he was asked to return to the house to get some jewelry. His son was in the house, and his grandmother was in the front yard. Jackson returned to the back seat of the car, and another car pulled up nearby. An assailant walked up and fired 9 shots at close range with 9mm handgun. Jackson was shot in the arm, hand, hip, both legs, chest, and left cheek. His facial wound resulted in a swollen tongue and loss of wisdom tooth and a slightly slurred voice. His friend was wounded in the hand. They were driven to a hospital where Jackson had spent 13 days. The alleged attacker, Darrell Bayham, Mike Tyson's close friend and bodyguard, was killed 3 weeks later. Jackson recalled the shooting. It happened so fast that you don't even get a chance to shoot back. I was scared the whole time. I was looking in the rear view mirror like, oh shit, somebody shot me in the face. It burns, it burns, it burns. In his autobiography, From Pieces to Weight, Once Upon a Time in Southside, Queens, he wrote, after I got shot 9 times to close range and didn't die, I started to think that I must have a purpose in life. How much more damage could that shell have done? Give me an inch in this direction or that one, or I'm gone. Jackson used a walker for 6 weeks and fully recovered after 5 months. When he left the hospital, he stayed in the Poconos with his girlfriend and son, and his workout regime helped him develop a muscular physique. In the hospital, Jackson signed a publishing deal with Columbia Records before he was dropped from the label and blacklisted by the recording industry because of his song Ghetto Q-Ron. Unable to work in U.S. studio, he went to Canada. With business partner Sha Money Excel, Jackson recorded over 30 songs for the mixtapes to build a reputation in Headquarters interview. In the Headquarters interview, Mark LaBelle of Shady Records and A&R said that Jackson used the mixtape circuit to his advantage. He took all the hottest beats from every artist and flipped them with better hooks. They then got into all the markets in the mixtapes, and all the mixtape DJs were messing with him. Jackson's popularity increased, and in 2002 he released his mixtape Guess Who's Back. He then released 50 Cent Is the Future, backed by G-Unit, and mixtape revisiting material by Jay-Z and Raphael Sadiq. 2002 to 2007, Mainstream Breakthrough, Get Rich or Die Trying, and Massacre. In 2002, Eminem heard Jackson's Guess Who's Back CD, received from Jackson's attorney, who was working with Eminem's manager Paul Rosenberg. Impressed, Eminem invited Jackson to fly to Los Angeles, introduce him to Dr. Dre, and after signing a $1 million record, Jackson released No Mercy, No Fear. The mixtape featured one new track, Gangsta, which appeared on Eminem's 8 Mile soundtrack. Jackson was also signed by Chris Lighty's Violator Management and Shaw Money XL Money Management Group. Jackson released his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, described by AllMusic. It's probably the most hyped debut album by a rap artist in about a decade. In February 2003, Rolling Stone noted its dark synth grooves, buzzy keyboards, and persistently funky bounce, with Jackson complementing the production in an unflappable, laid-back flow. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 872,000 copies in its first 4 days. The lead single, In the Club, noted by the source for its blaring horns, funky organs, guitar riffs, and sparse hand claps, set a Billboard record as the most listened to song in radio history within a week. Interscope gave Jackson his own label, G Unit Records, in 2003. He signed Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and Young Buck as members of the G Unit, and The Game was later signed in joint venture with Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment. In March 2005, Jackson's second commercial album, The Massacre, sold 1.14 million copies in its first 4 days, the highest in an abbreviated sales cycle. It was number 1 of the Billboard 200 for 6 weeks. He was the first solo artist with 3 singles on the Billboard Top 5 in the same week, with Candy Shop, Disco Inferno, and How We Do. According to the Rolling Stone, 50 Cent's secret weapon is his singing voice, the deceptively amateur-sounding tenor croon that he deploys in almost every chorus. After The Game's departure, Jackson signed Olivia and rap veterans Mobb Deep to G Unit Records, with Spider Loc, M.O.P., 40 Glock, and Young Hot Rod later joining the label, who eventually departed the label. Jackson expressed an interest in working with rappers other than G Unit, such as Lil Scrappy of BME, LL Cool J, Def Jam, Maze of Bad Boy, and Freeway of Rockefeller, and recorded with several. 2007 to 2010, Curtis sells Battle with Kanye West and Before I Self-Destruct. In September 2007, Jackson was released his third album, Curtis, which was inspired by his life before Get Rich or Die Trying. It debuted at number 2 on Billboard 200, selling 691,000 copies during its first week. It sold behind Kanye's West Graduation, released the same day. The outcome of this highly publicized sales battle between Jackson and West has been credited to the commercial decline of the gangster rap and bling era style that previously dominated mainstream hip-hop. On the September 10, 2008 episode of Total Request Live, Jackson said his 4th studio album, Before I Self-Destruct, would be done and released in November. He released Okay, You're Right, produced by Dr. Dre, Before I Self-Destruct, on May 18, 2009, and was scheduled to appear in fall 2009 episode of VH1's Behind the Music on September 3, 2009. Jackson posted a video for the Soundkillers Phoenix-produced track Flight 187, introducing his mixtape and book. The song, with lyrics inspiring speculation about tension between Jackson and Jay-Z, was bonus track on the iTunes version of Before I Self-Destruct. Before I Self-Destruct was released on November 9, 2009. 2010 to 2015. New musical directions, new business ventures, and animal ambition. In a ContactMusic.com interview, Jackson said he was working on a Eurodance album, Black Magic, inspired by European nightclubs. First they played hip-hop, which suddenly changed to up-tempo songs known as Eurodance. He later said he had changed his next album to Return of the Heartless Monster after writing different material when he returned home from the Invitation Tour in 2010, shelving Black Magic. On September 3, Jackson supported Eminem on his and Jay-Z's Home and Home tour, performing a Crack a Bottle with Eminem and Dr. Dre amid rumors of tension between Jackson and Dr. Dre. He recorded 20 songs to a whole different album concept before putting them aside, wanting his new album to have the aggression or get rich die trying. Jackson tweeted that the album was 80% done, and fans could expect it in the summer of 2011. It was ultimately delayed a year due to disagreements with Interscope Records, with Jackson saying that he would release it into November 2011, with a different title than Black Magic. Eminem would appear on the album, and Jackson said he was working with new producers such as Boyeda and Alex the Kid. Cardiac, who produced Lloyd Banks' Start It Up, confirmed that he produced the song for the upcoming album. Jackson released the song Outlaw from his fifth album on the internet on June 16, 2011. The single, produced by Cardiac, was released on iTunes on July 19. Although Jackson tweeted that it was not the album's first single, the rapper planned to write a semi-autobiographical young adult novel about bullying, different from his previous books which focused on his life and the rules of power. According to the book's publisher, the first-person novel about a 13-year-old school bully who finds redemption as he faces what he's done was scheduled for publication in January 2012. In a series of tweets, Jackson told that the delay of his fifth album was due to disagreements with Interscope Records, later suggesting that it would be released in November 2011 with his headphone line SMS by 50. He speculated to MTV News about not renewing his 5-album contract with Interscope. "I don't know. It will be all clear in the negotiations following me turning his actual album in. And of course, the performance and how they actually treat the work will determine whether you will still want to stay in that position or not." On June 20, 2011, Jackson announced the release of Before I Self-Destruct after his fifth album. Although he planned to shoot a music video for the fifth album's lead single, I'm On It, on June 26, the video was never filmed. Jackson told Shades 45, "I did 4 songs in Detroit with Eminem. I did 2 with Just Blaze, A Boy Won the Joint, and I did something with Alex the Kid. We made 2 that are definite singles, and our 2 are the kinds of records that we've been making. More aimed at my core audience, more aggressive, more a different kind of energy to it." He released Street Kind Energy track, number 7, in September 2011 to promote Street King, his charity-based energy drink. An announcement that Jackson was shooting a music video for Girls Go Wild, the fifth album lead single featuring Jeremiah, who was made on September 28, 2011. Jackson's fifth album, Street King Immortal, was initially scheduled for a summer 2012 release and postponed until November 13. Disagreements with Interscope Records about its release and promotion led to its temporary cancellation. Its first promo single, New Day with Dr. Dre and Alicia Keys, was released on July 27. The song was produced by Dr. Dre, mixed by Eminem, and written by 50 Cent. Alicia Keys, Royce da 5'9", and Dr. Dre. A solo version by Keys was leaked by her husband, Swiss Beats, My Life. The album's second promo single... Oh, shit. Sorry about that. According to Jackson, although he owed Interscope another album, he was released from his contract because of his friendship with Eminem and Dr. Dre. "I'm a special case and situation. it's also because of the leverage of having the strong relationship with Eminem and Dr. Dre. They don't want me to be comfortable. They value our friendship to the point that they would never want to jeopardize it over the little bit of money. That day, he announced the Animal Ambition would be released on June 3, and released its first track. The song "Funeral" was released with a video on Forbes, produced by Jake One. It is a continuation of 50 Bars from a previous album. 2 more tracks were scheduled for release on March 18. At South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, Jackson performed "Hold On" from the new album. That song and "Don't Worry About It" were released with the accompanying videos in March 18. According to Jackson, prosperity would be the theme of the album. This project, I had to search for a concept, a really good concept in my perspective, and that was prosperity. I outlined all the things that would be part of prosperity, positive and negative, for Animal Ambition. 2015 to present. Street King Immortal, bankruptcy and departure from Interscope. On May 14, 2015, Jackson revealed an interview with his first single from Street Immortal would be previewed Memorial Day weekend and would likely be released on June. Jackson released "Get Low" on May 20, 2015, as the intended first single from his 6th studio album, Street King Immortal. The song, produced by Remo the Hitmaker, features vocals from fellow American rappers 2 Chainz and T.I., as well as American singer Jeremy. He announced bankruptcy on July 13, 2015. On March 31, 2017, Interscope Records released 50 Cent's final album for the label, a greatest hits album titled Best Of. On June 25, 2019, the New York Times Magazine listed 50 Cent among hundreds of the artists whose material was reportedly destroyed in the 2008 Universal fire. In 2020, Jackson helmed the executive producer's duties for later rapper Pop Smoke's debut album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, having been one of Pop Smoke's biggest inspirations. The album was released on July 3, 2020. Jackson curated the album, desiring to finish it after Pop had died. He contacted many of the artists involved and also features on one of the album tracks, "The Woo," which became a top 10 single. Artistry. Jackson cites Boogie Down Productions, Big Daddy Kane, The Juice Crew, EPMD, and KRS-One as his rapping influences, while citing LL Cool J as an inspiration behind his writing of 21 Questions. Jackson also states that he drew influence from Nas, Rakim, and the Notorious B.I.G. while working on Animal Ambition. Stay tuned for part 2 of 50 Cent.